Bienvenidos al podcast de Latino Founder Hour.
Each week, we invite you to spend an in-depth hour with us as we speak with a Latino startup founder from somewhere around the world.
Aquí conocerás esas historias de éxito y fracasos, retos personales y lecciones aprendidas.
And we have fun. We're live every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Tune in at startupradionetwork.com.
O en versión podcast después del show. Escucha,
listen,
aprende,
learn,
y emprende.
Launch.
Muy buenos días, ¿cómo están todos? Feliz viernes, día 30 de marzo de 2018. Claudia, ¿cómo estás?
Buenos días. Buenos días, Edgar. Bien, gracias. Feliz.
Happy Good Friday. Feliz Viernes Santo.
Viernes Santo.
Para todos los católicos y los pecadores también. Arrepiéntanse.
Oye, en México ya están todos de fiesta y todo. Y le digo,
Sí.
oigan, pero ustedes saben en realidad el verdadero significado de por qué están de fiesta.
No.
Y todos se quedan pensando de que, sí, no, tenemos que hacer una reflexión de eso. Porque no, ahorita todo el mundo está de fiesta, no sé ni por qué.
Pero bueno, bienvenidos a Latino Founder Hour de Startup Radio Network. Síganos todos los viernes de 11 de la mañana a 12 horario del Pacífico. Desde Portland, Oregon, los saludamos Edgar Navas y mi coanfitriona Claudia Cárdenas. ¿Cómo estás, Claudia?
Bien, gracias. Thank you everybody for listening to us. Today, Friday, March 30th, okay. Okay, entonces, hoy hablaremos. ¿Esto va a ser en español o en inglés? ¿Cómo lo vamos a hacer?
Hoy lo vamos a tener en inglés. Tenemos a una organización, a dos personas increíbles, dos mujeres realmente impresionantes. Tenemos a la doctora Patti López y a la doctora Cecilia Girón de Latinas in Tech, una organización sin fines de lucro. Y pues bueno, el día de hoy los vamos a tener en inglés. We just want to welcome today our guests, Dr. Patti Lopez and Dr. Cecilia Girón, that's joining us from Chile, on a Fulbright scholarship. So welcome to the show, ladies. Thank you for thank you for coming over.
Thank you for being
for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and hola. And my name is Cecilia Aragon.
Aragon. I'm so sorry. I changed your last name. Yeah, not Girón. Aragon.
Aragon, yes. That's what I was just thinking in a little bit. I was like, she's Aragon. Okay, well, thank you so much for being with us today. For me, I'm proud to have you both calling from Cecilia. You said you're in Chile, and Patti is in
Colorado.
In Colorado.
Thank you so much for this phone call. So today I just wanted to say thank you to all these Latinas. There are Latina leaders. They're like now leading large corporations and private sectors, and also organizations. And then in this case, we have this organization that is called Latinas
in Tech.
In tech, in computing.
In computing.
In computing, yeah.
Latinas in computing.
Yeah, and you know what I was reading about, I was looking at your website, and it's just truly, number one, inspiring. I myself have been involved in the tech diversity. We do acknowledge. I'm the founders of a small tech startup in Portland, and it's a city that you guys have read. It's a very not very diverse, especially in the tech sector. So we've been having those conversations, those battles, and there's little things that have been done. But we want to listen from you that you're definitely in the trenches. Also, very inspiring stories. Dr. Patti Lopez from Intel. And Dr. Cecilia Girón on a Fulbright scholarship at the University of Washington. So, can we start with you, Patti? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I grew up in northern New Mexico, a small town north of Santa Fe, which is the oldest capital in the United States, a small community. I had my parents didn't go to college, so I was a first generation college student. I had 4 brothers and 2 sisters, so we had a large Hispanic family, lots of tios and tias and primos, and it was just a wonderful way to grow up, right? There was so much family. But there were challenges. The community didn't have a lot of access to computing, even though Los Alamos National Labs is only about 20 miles away. But there was a teacher who came to my high school with a computer. It was back in the 70s, so not very sophisticated, but I learned how to program. And that sort of sparked my interest. I was always good in math and science, and so that got me interested in technology. And when I went to college, I majored in computer science, and that sort of started my whole path down the tech career. And I met Cecilia Aragon at a Grace Hopper conference, Birds of a Feather session, and that's how Latinas in Computing was born.
Okay, yeah, and we saw that you hold, a BS in computer engineering or computer science, a master's, and then a PhD, which is, absolutely remarkable. That's amazing. So, and one of the things, go ahead.
It was sort of an accidental path. No one in my family had ever gotten a master's or a PhD, and when I was a senior in my last year, I saw this article in the paper. There were 2 professors at my university studying artificial intelligence, which, as you know, is a big thing now. But back then, it was harder to do without the computing power, without the tools, without memory. Anyway, I went and I approached them. I said I wanted to learn more about it. I ended up doing an independent study that led to a teaching assistantship in a master's program, and then a research assistantship. And then I had an organization sponsored by the National Science Foundation fund the first year of my PhD. Wow. And that's sort of how I ended up on the PhD track. It was not intentional.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yes.
Incredible.
Especially, Patty, when we are like first generation to go to college, and our families are just like, okay, why are you going to college? Why you just get a job? Like, what was that inspired you to go to college?
Well, my best friend was going to college, and we were very close, and she was interested in, we'd gone to the state university because that's what we could afford. She was interested in psychology. And so, we were almost inseparable. We always, we were in band together. And it was just like, oh, I should go to college, right? I ended up getting a tuition scholarship from the university, which is very small, at the time. And so I worked through college. And of course, when I got my bachelor's, my mom said, oh, you should get a job, right? You should get a job. You don't need to get a master's. You should just go get a job, get in the workforce. That was the expectation. And I think one of the challenges is for a lot of first-gen students is, without understanding what a career might look like outside of just going and getting a job out of college, there's not really a good a path for parents to really understand what research is about and what, getting a master's you can do with a master's or what you could do with a PhD aside from teach, right? So it's been a wonderful journey to be able to learn from my peers like Cecilia and our other founders, as well as other women in our group, to say there are many paths to a successful career. Some of them might include getting a master's or a PhD, working in tech companies, working in a startup, working at a university, which Cecilia has done, as well as working in government, which Cecilia has also done. My path was to industry, and I've enjoyed that very much, and I've had the opportunity to work closely with women in academia as well, because there's so much work to do in opening doors for other Latinas and Latino men as well.
Yes, just like I said when at the beginning, the Latinos are now representing and having big jobs, leading large public companies and private firms. And now, Cecilia, can you give us a little bit of where you grew up? And we know you're from Chile. What inspired you to be where you are right now?
All right. Thank you very much, Claudia. And so my story is very different from Patty's, but it has a lot of similarities. I'm a first generation of a different kind. my parents are immigrants. My father was an immigrant from Chile, and my mother an immigrant from the Philippines. They both came to the United States as adults, and I grew up in Indiana, and so I had a very different experience. My family was alone. We were one of the few Hispanic or Latino families in this small town in Indiana, and it was not a very pleasant childhood. My teachers every year, my teachers in elementary school would put me in the slow reading group because they assumed that a young Latina girl would not be very smart.
Oh, wow.
So, no matter how well I had done the year before, every year it was back to square one. And we had we had the classic situation where my parents put an offer in on a house in a good neighborhood, which meant not Latino, and it was taken off the market.
Oh my gosh.
I still remember going into stores with my mother, and they would refuse to serve us.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I have heard
Incredible.
stories like that.
So
Mm-hmm.
so that was so I did not have any experience doing programming or computers in high school because my high school didn't even have AP classes. But my support came from my family because my parents did go to college and they were very supportive of education. So I went to Caltech for my undergraduate degree and majored in mathematics. But while I was there, I became fascinated by computers, and on my own, I started programming and decided I wanted to study more about computer science. But even there, I remember I had a professor in mathematics who said, "Oh, you're good at math. Why are you thinking about computer science? Only failed mathematicians go to computer science."
Mm-hmm. Goodness.
But I've kind of always had a little bit of a defiant streak, and so I decided I was going to go ahead and study computer science because I thought computers were the future.
Exactly.
And even
and
more
still
important,
the future.
Yeah, yes, they are. And even more important, I just enjoyed programming. I thought it was like a superpower because there were all these interesting problems in math, but if I could write programs, it was like I could make myself even smarter. And it was so exciting that and for me, my situation was kind of the opposite. I wanted to get a job after I graduated, but I still remember, I was trying to get a technical or a programming job, and I had one potential employer said, "Well, we were looking for a young man."
Oh wow! My.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so I actually sent out over 100 resumes and could not get a job, and so I decided to apply to graduate school instead.
Yes.
And so I applied to the University of California, Berkeley, in computer science for a PhD, and started going there.
Oh wow!
It's amazing. It's an amazing story, Cecilia. And this question is for any of you. Like you created this Latinas in Computing. It's a company. It's an organization that is created by Latinas for Latinas, and then your mission is promoting and representation of your success. Like, can you tell us a little bit of that?
Yes.
Sure.
So
Go ahead.
there are actually 6 of us that are the co-founders of Latinas in Computing. We all have PhDs, and we all work in various areas of technology. And it is an organization, not a company. It's completely nonprofit and volunteer. None of us have ever received payment for our work. And the other leaders include Gilda Gareton and Dilma da Silva,
Raquel Romano,
who is an engineer at Google, and Gladys Castillo, and the original. What happened originally is there was a seminar put on by the Anita Borg Institute for Women in Computing in, I think, about 2002, and Gilda and Dilma and I just met, and we were so surprised to find all of us had been working, and we hadn't known other Latinas in computing. And so we decided, let's just have a birds of a feather session at the next Grace Hopper conference, and let's see if there are others of us. And so at that birds of a feather session, there were about 15 of us, I think, and of those 15, 6 of us, including Patty and Gladys and Raquel, decided that we all wanted to get together and form this organization.
That's amazing. So this is kind of like a leadership group that decided we need this for our Latinos, for our community, and we are going to offer this service, and then we're not going to get paid, but we are going to try to like grow an organization for our young generation that are like coming and they're interested in computing.
Absolutely,
yes,
Patty.
Yes. Yeah, so the challenge was that we had shared our stories, and when we realized that we all had faced some sort of diversity aspect, some sort of exclusion, right? Gladys was working on her PhD, and she was having trouble either with her advisor or her committee. There was these doors that were blocking us, and what was the reason, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that I love about our Latina group is all their voices. They're from different countries, different experiences, and when we're all talking together, it just sounds like a song. There's so many melodies, but the experiences were what really touched me, because really sad stories. And here we were in our companies or in our universities or in our labs, and we didn't have anyone else to reach out to, nobody else to share our story. And so we thought, it's me. There's something wrong with me. I don't quite get this organizational culture. There's something that I'm lacking. But when we shared our stories, we found that we had so much in common. And of course, as you've seen all of the articles about lack of diversity in technology companies, be it the big companies or even the startups. A lot of really horrible stories, but what has come out of that is that strength that says, okay, I'm not alone. People are starting to share their voices, their experiences. We're starting to have an impact. And so Cecilia and the other Latinas, we all decided what we needed to do was help other women through that pipeline, right? Where were they getting stuck? Were they getting stuck getting a bachelor's degree? Were they getting stuck applying to graduate school? Were they getting stuck getting their PhD, getting into academic institutions, into industry, into research careers? And so we created these programs that we'd have at the Grace Hopper Conference, which is an annual conference now. And since 2006, we have been present pretty much every year with content. We had a speed mentoring workshop that was very successful in the early years. We put on lots of panels for, imposter syndrome is a topic we've discussed. We've talked about, professional development. How do you advance in your career? Lots of different topics to appeal to those students to say, hey, here's how I did it, and here's how you can do it. You don't have to follow my path, but here is a path that that might help you make decisions about your own.
No, that's fantastic. But I do have a question here, like a follow-up question. You mentioned this is mostly for professional women or college students. Do you go before that? Because I have a freshman in high school, truly smart girl, and I felt that at some point, either passively she has confronted, there's like, oh, the computing is only for boys, and again, she's excel in math. She's a year ahead, and it's I'm so smart. But she has made some comments that say, oh, no, I think that's just for boys. Or she's like, well, no, hang on. Who told you that? Where did you find it? And that's, again, part of the culture. And here we're in Portland, a very progressive city. But still, 2018, my daughter comes and tells me, no, I don't think that's for me because I'm supposed to go do something else. And I don't think that's her passion. She's really good at math, but I want to see, if you guys are engaging with it earlier on, like high school or even middle school, because I think that message, it's being, I don't know if promoted or just, being pushed early on.
True.
Absolutely. I've got the organization for you. It's called Tecnologicas. So the website is tecnologicas.org. And it is an organization. This is an offshoot of NCWIT, which is the National Center for Women and Information Technology. And so if you go to the Tecnologicas website, they also have a Twitter and a Facebook page. They are sort of a joint initiative with Televisa. The Televisa Foundation to raise awareness among young Latinas and their families about opportunities and careers in technology. Another thing that is being done is you're from. I don't know if you've ever watched the PBS. There is a Sci Girls program that has historically been for, in English, but they now have a Latina Sci Girls, and it's in Spanish, and they have mentors, and they got funding. I think it was through the National Science Foundation for that program as well. So I agree, absolutely. Middle school is where girls start to form those ideas about whether or not they belong in tech or not, and so in my community, I do a lot of volunteering at that level. I think many of the Latinas do because, we have kids or we have, interest in promoting it at that early age. And so I would say that the NCWIT, the National Center for Women in Information Technology, has been one of the strongest organizations to actually create that pipeline, that K-12 pipeline. There's also a really great program in the Portland area. It's called the National Girls Collaborative Program. It's ngcp project.org. I can send you those details offline. But it has this program directory. So if you go to its website, you look up I don't know if it's called collaboratory or program directory, but you can look up any program in your area, and you can find a program for your kids, for girls. You can also, if you have a program, you can add it to the directory to create a way for people to find out about you. So this is a national program. I know that the Washington State collaborations are very strong, and so these are just things that you learn about through our work with all women across the spectrum of technology. And so, it's very important for these young women to have not only role models that are successful in industry or in their career, like Cecilia and the other Latinas, but also to see near peers, right? Women who are girls who are in middle school see those role models in high school, and the girls that are in high school see those role models in college, and the college women see the leaders at the next level up. And so NCWIT has created this near-peer loop. They also have an aspirations program. It's called aspirations.org. and you can nominate young women in high school for awards, and they can win at a regional or state level, and then go to the national level. And then when they go to college, they are connected to other aspirations winners at the university that they attend, and then they start to create that community so that they're not alone. So, they're sort of leading it across for all women in technology, and we support them with the work that we do specifically for Latinas, because, as you know, Latinas, African American women, and Native American women are among the most underrepresented in technology.
Exactly. Yep. Yes. And then, like you're saying, in our young Latinas, we used to be scared to talk. We used to be scared of like going out and then find what we love to do. But now I can see like a lot of young Latinas that are like 16, like even my son talks, when he talks, he's like, what generation are you from? Like he's an old soul. And these kids are getting smarter all the time. And I see these girls that are like 15, 16 years old talking in front of like a huge crowd. Exactly. And with demanding what they want and then what they want to do in the future. So just like, and all we have to do is create the awareness of what we want to do, what we love to do, and building the strengths together to be able to help each other and create that impact that you're talking about. And you guys are doing it with Latinas in computing.
Yes, I think that the young people of today are so inspiring. They give me hope for the future. I certainly, even in the darkest of times, it's seeing amazing things that these young Latinas people are saying and speaking and being so eloquent. I want to say too that that parents' views are also very valuable. This is just from a personal viewpoint. I had almost no support outside my mother and father. And so I would encourage you to encourage your own children to go against the norm, to break the mold, to be defiant, to be different. Because I think they have the potential to do that, and I think it is the age of young people that we are entering now. And I just wanted to mention one other organization to add to Patty's excellent list. There's also a national organization for girls called Expanding Your Horizons, and they focus on the middle school. They give workshops in science and technology. And they're also very good, in addition to all the other ones she listed that I wholly support, and the Latinas in Computing has been connected with.
Amazing, thank you.
I got a question for both of you. I mean, both of you are like highly respected, incredible women. I mean, PhDs. I've been I'm college educated. I have a master's also. But now as a father, and you being in the tech world, there's a bigger current right now, or a trend where we really need to analyze if the college is really the path, especially with the escalating costs, or if we need to think about disrupting the old model. And what do you guys think about the coding schools? As a way to get into tech without having to get into a lot of debt, and starting a career, with something more practical rather than academic. I mean, if that's the path. I mean, it's just a question that I've had. I mean, it's been on my mind for a couple of years.
Well, if you are interested in programming, I think the best deals right now are from some of the large state universities that do provide really excellent financial aid. There are a lot of for-profit organizations that are charging tuition, and they claim to be less expensive. but some of them do not provide the quality of education that the large traditional universities have given. I think do not give up, despite the expense of college. Do not give up on these schools, because there is a tremendous amount of scholarships and financial aid and ways to learn. And I fear that there are these small programs that appear to charge less, but they're actually delivering less as well. And so you have to be very careful. Not all of them are bad.
Okay.
But you have to make sure that you are dealing with a nonprofit, and going to just a coding school for a few weeks does not provide the same level of training as 4 years with a computer science major will give you.
Okay.
So, some other options I might suggest for students that are particularly cost conscious is, there are very good community colleges where you can go ahead and receive your 2-year prerequisites that many universities will require to get a 4-year degree, and you can complete them at a local community college where the cost is much less. You might be able to live at home and still work. You can also test out of classes that you might take in high school. And then there are lots of programs, as Cecilia says, for scholarships. I know that for students, especially dreamers or students who have undocumented status, it's more difficult, it's more challenging. But there are a lot of online courses that you can take and get through. There's so many YouTube videos. Code.org has a lot of how to get started sorts of things. In terms of the universities, certainly a state university or a university that is a public university will offer much more in terms of financial aid and student loans. In terms of actually the student experience, one of the things that I advise all of my proteges is to try to get a research experience, which is something that actually helps you connect, what the computing career is or whatever discipline the student chooses to what people actually do, right? Because when I went to college, what was a degree in computer science? What kind of job was that going to get me? There were no pictures or ideas, right? It's not somebody sits in front of a computer all day and just stares at a screen. I did so many other things. I worked with teams. I worked with people across the world. My work was image processing when I first started my career, so it was very visual and very collaborative. So I think that when you actually get into a research experience, which provides funding many times, and travel support to go to a conference, which opens your doors, opens your eyes to the rest of the world, those are the sorts of things that can make a huge change, not only for students to inspire them, right? They get to go to these conferences where you have inspirational leaders speak, and they share their journey, their experiences. You get to talk to other young women about their path, and you see that there is a sea of other women in the field, so you don't feel so isolated. So I think those are very good reasons to choose for your university. Now, whether or not universities are adapting to keep pace with the demand is a big issue, and of course the cost is a huge hurdle for many students.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's a trend. We, as Latinos, sometimes we don't know where to get the funding and or the help to get these programs.
Yeah, and I raised the question because I work also as a volunteer in one of the high schools that is the most diverse and has one of the highest concentrations of Latino students in Portland. And, just listening from their experiences, this is where the question came from, because yes, I would rather you go to college, but a lot of these kids, they're working at 16 years old as a sophomore. So for them to working not just to buy the newest iPhone, they're contributing to the household. So once they graduate from college, from high school, they gotta get into the workforce so they can contribute. And that's one of the things that trying to put all the pieces in the puzzle. I know it's for them. It's impractical to tell them, yeah, you're going to disappear for 4 years. It's simply not an option. What's the next best option for you, just so you don't end up being a gardener or, washing, the traditional, the traditional jobs that are out for there just for a high school graduate. That's what we raise the question.
Yeah. Absolutely. Community college is a great option.
Community college. Yeah. My own daughter is in community college now, getting a 2-year degree in computer science. It's much less costly. There are tremendous teachers, tremendous opportunities there. And you can take classes part-time while you're working. And again, a community college. The main thing I want to speak about is the for-profit colleges and organizations and academies are not a good deal. They often promise they promise they'll get you a loan, and then you will be buried in debt.
Exactly.
I can't speak for other schools, but I know the University of Washington, we work with undocumented students. We try to help people who have need to find the resources to get scholarships. This is something we take very seriously.
Exactly.
So
yes.
Go Huskies.
Yes.
Yes. So don't believe that it's not that it's. I think sometimes people get misinformed about the opportunities that are out there, and these small institutes that try to get you say, oh, it'll be free because we'll get you a student loan. Don't, please. I mean, this is something that don't make sure that people don't fall for that, because there are resources. And I want to second the community college route is really wonderful.
Yes, and there's a lot of organizations, like I work with Hispanic Chamber, and we have scholarship program for all the DACA students and dreamers. So we have the help, and then, like you said, there's always something that we can do as a community, and then yes, we have a lot of organizations. Okay, we're gonna take a break right now, and then we're gonna have an ad. So. CPA dudes, where accounting is never boring. Their price is very reasonable. Customers decide the value to them, and they don't charge for sending invoices, phone calls, emails, text messages, or meetings. They just get the damn job done. So find them at cpadudes.com/startup radio.
And Porkbone Domains, websites and internet commerce for the rest of us. Porkbone, where you can get the website domain names for your business or personal brand with the lowest prices and amazing free services. Yeah, everybody's heard of .com, .net, and .org, but now you can get a domain that matches what your startup does. If you're a design entrepreneur, you could get a .design domain name. Use your imagination and contact them at porkbone.com/startup radio. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I mean, it's truly remarkable to have you here, and we just wanted to know a little bit more of your personal experience. You know what, as a source of inspiration for the next generation, what are your challenges, and what can you tell the next generation of future Latina leaders in computing?
So I think one of the things that so many young women don't recognize, and this is true for the workforce in general, is you think that you do a good job and your work will be recognized. It's not. It's very competitive in many work cultures, and because you are in the minority, right? You value community, you value collaboration, you value teamwork. Those are traditional values from that I brought up, being from the Latino culture, and you go into the workforce and they're not viewed in the same way. So what every person who works, at least in my company, you need to be able to articulate what it is you do, what value you bring, and the impact that your work has on the organization or the team. And so, it's very difficult to self-promote because that's something that we have been taught not to do, right? You just keep your head down, do good work, right? But you have to find ways to highlight what you do. You say, our team delivered this, and it was really exciting, and here's the part where that I contributed to. This is the impact that it had, and it was great to see a successful a launch or project, right? Whatever it was. You have to find ways to use language that allow you to talk about the bigger goal, but also to highlight your specific contributions. And a lot of first new employees, they don't know the rules of the road, how to work with your manager, how to keep them up to date on the work that you're doing, how to share, what your interests are, what your career goals are, and you can change your mind. I mean, a lot of people say, well, I don't really know what I want to do, or young women say, well, I might want to get married, I want to have a family. Well, you don't say any of that, but you can say, 3 years, I'd love to have a role that looked like this. Right? And maybe you can change your mind. You can say what you want to do, and you can start down that road, and you can look at it, and you can just find out more information, talk to people who are doing that role, and come back and say, well, I found out that, there's this aspect to it that I'm not that interested in, but I did find these other areas that I would like to explore. And so when you're constantly learning, like just because you finished your degree, doesn't mean you stop growing, right? You learn new languages, you learn new disciplines, you learn new tools, and you grow and contribute. And so that's the path that I think that I would say to students who are looking at what a career might look like in any role that you have, right? You do your best work, you always deliver, and then you try to help other people get whatever it is done, right? And that's part of what it means to be a team and to be part of an organization that does great things. Right. And then there's a creative side that you might also be able to do. And that's where, patents and inventions or new product ideas come from. Right. You bring your experiences. Hey, when I use this thing, it didn't do this and I need it to do this. So I was thinking we could add a feature that allows this. Right. So you bring that experience, that missing piece to whatever it is you do.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love that you touch languages because nowadays we've also heard of not only languages, French, Spanish, Russian, etc., but also programming languages. Mm-hmm. It's something that every kid should learn. At least to program in one or a couple of languages, regardless of what you want to do. I mean, it's never going to be on your way if you learn how to program a computer.
Definitely. Yes.
Right, and being multilingual, right? So if many of our listeners are bilingual or multilingual, those are actually skills that you can add value to because you can work with people in other countries that speak that language.
Absolutely. Yeah. That gives you an edge over your competition. Always.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit more about this organization. So I know that you guys already have like a lot of achievements, and then as you mentioned, you have events. And is this like work as a membership, or how this works?
So we have a Facebook group, we have a LinkedIn group, we have a Twitter handle. What we primarily do is, because we are all busy with our day jobs, is we also have a listserv that members can join and ask questions. They can post to our groups. They can meet other people. And we usually meet to coordinate content that we want to present at a conference. But mostly it's just providing that community. How do people get connected? How do they find out about opportunities or jobs or scholarships?
Okay.
Or other people in other areas they might want to get information from. So being that network, right? And they can talk to us privately if they want, message us and ask us specific questions. A lot of students need mentors or role models to say, hey, what about this? So I think that's probably the biggest value we add. What do you think, Cecilia? What would you say are the...
Yes, as always, that's a great summary, Patty. I'd also like to point out that membership is absolutely free, and it always has been. And we'd like to encourage any young Latinas in computing, or actually of any age, to join us. Look up our website or our Facebook page and ask to join. And that's all it takes to be a part of this community.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we definitely need this information because it definitely speaks to our new generation. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? This is part of what we're trying to do with this series of Latinos and Latino founders. Just trying to inspire and convey messages, convey always positive messages, and how can we help each other grow? How can we help each other? How can we help the next generation succeed? Especially right now in turbulent times for us Latinos living in the U.S.
Yes. It sounds like we have the same goals.
Good. Yes, yeah. Exactly. That's why we're creating, this space was created. It was created to get our voice across everywhere, that people that wants to help, that wants to be a mentor, that has an idea, that has a site, an organization, anything that can help us to grow together.
Yep. And so for now, they can go to latinasinComputing.org and sign up for the newsletter, be a part of the organization. And also, you said through LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Is that right?
Yes. On the homepage, there's a join list on the right, and so that's probably the best way to keep in touch. We also are working, we have colleagues who work in Latin and South America, and they host a conference called Latinity. It's going to be held in August in Colombia, and it is for Latin American women in technology. And so, I mean, there are Latinas all over the world, but one of the largest populations for Latinas actually comes from the Americas. And so growing the leaders in Southern and Latin America will grow the population of women leaders, right? Because if you go to the top 100 list that Time puts out every year, how many Latinas do you see on that list? And Latinos as well,
yep.
Right?
Exactly.
You don't see that many. And so our goal is really to create more presence, more opportunities for Latinas in all aspects of technology.
Definitely.
Yes, and I should say too that being here in Chile now, it's been very exciting. I've met with many women, many Latinas in computing and technology, and I've had a number of very exciting conversations. And met with some young women students too. I just spoke with a really brilliant young woman in computer science who was getting a master's degree, and I think I convinced her to go on and get her PhD in computer science, and then to go and teach others as well. And this is really, I think, what our community is all about. To the next generation.
We can hear you.
Oh, Cecilia?
Cecilia?
I'm sorry?
We lost you there for a second, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now we hear you, but a little far. Let me see. Let's adjust the audio.
So I was just saying that I think that one of the most important things that we can do in this organization is to mentor the next generation.
Yes, unfortunately.
Young women.
Unfortunately, we hear you very, very far away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a little bit of noise right there. I think hello.
How is this?
Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect.
We
Thank
can
you.
back. Yes.
There you are. You're back again. Sorry, you were saying, Cecilia.
So did you hear what I said?
No. I mean, we could barely hear you, but now you're perfectly fine again.
So did you hear what I said about how exciting it is to be in Chile and
Yes.
to see what the women here are doing.
Yeah.
Correct. And then you said that you were talking with the young Latinas that are experiencing going through these programs and then wanting to be and having the opportunity to teach someone else.
Yes, I'm really hoping to get more women professors in computer science here in South America. There are so many very talented women who don't believe, some of the ones I've seen, they don't believe that they can do it. They feel nervous about speaking up. And so I've been trying to encourage them to join with the other very strong Latinas here and add their voices together. And I'm very hopeful for the future.
Exactly. And let's keep in contact. I mean, who knows that we have an opportunity over here and we can bring some of these young Latinas to give a conference to a big crowd of young
Absolutely.
adults.
Yeah, and I already have a couple of possible members for you guys. I know a couple of people a couple of Latinas that work and have worked at Intel. And I'm sure if they don't know about you, then I'm sure they'll be very interested in joining as well. Because, they're echoing everything that we've said here in the past hour.
Wonderful.
So
That's fabulous.
Yeah. So again, I hope we can help you. Spread the message about LatinasInComputing.org, and get more members, get more. Well, if not members, but also more students. To get an inspiration. Because for me, the difficult part is I'm a man. It's difficult for me as a man being able to talk as a peer, but and as a source of inspiration, even though I'm Latino. But listening to you guys and saying, "Wow, look what you can accomplish! Look at this remarkable stories that we heard today. You can do it. There's no excuse."
That's right. And you know what? We need allies too. Don't sell yourself short because you're a man.
No, absolutely, and being the father of two beautiful girls, this is what I want for them. I want to be able to do some major change, and for them to, even if it's not computing, because I don't think neither of them have that passion, but it echoes, and I think, like I said, for me, it's important that they learn, how to code, how to, learn a little, even not the basis of computing, just so they can have an understanding of this and provide, a path for leadership.
Yes, definitely. So I just want to add a little bit about creating opportunities. Creating opportunities for youth is very important. And then what we're trying to do is to create something that if it's working for you, if it's working for us, we need to share that. We need to bring that into our youth and into our communities for us to be able to build ourselves. So thank you so much for being with us today, Patty, Cecilia. And yes, anything else, Edgar?
No, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time. I know you're extremely busy, very successful women, and congratulations on all your successes and many, many more to come. We'll stay in touch with you, and hopefully we can help you, through our organizations and our startups, help the, to spread the word about Latinas in computing. So if anyone wants to join, LatinasInComputing.org. And subscribe. From Portland, we'll salute you. Thank you so much again for joining. Saludos hasta Chile.
Yes, I want to add another thing. Sorry, I keep adding things. Patty, Cecilia, I work for Hispanic Chamber. If you go to Facebook, if you have Facebook, I would love to have you as our Hispanic Chamber follower. Yes, so we can keep in contact, and just to share information and see if we can do something together in the future.
And we'll love to have you here in Portland sometime.
Well, that was
sounds
beautiful.
fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for this fabulous opportunity.
Thank you so much, and don't go anywhere yet, because coming up next is The Out Entrepreneur with host Rhodes Perry. Rhodes talks about LGBTQ entrepreneurs from all over the world. Rhodes, welcome. And thank you for joining us in Latino Founder Hour, Startup Radio Network. Thank you so much. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
You've been listening to the Latino Founder Hour podcast with your hosts, Edgar Navas, founder of Cliqa, and Claudia Cardenas.
El programa Latino Founder Hour es grabado en las instalaciones de NetSpace en el estudio Bigfoot Podcast en la hermosa ciudad de Portland.
Our audio engineer, mixer, and podcast editor is Alon Beausoleil.
Diseñador de logo, Carolyn Main.
Our network logo was designed by Jessica Chan.
Diseñador de sitio web, Cameron Grimes.
Our production assistant is Chelsea Lancaster.
Tema de música, Funnin' and Sunning, de Kevin MacLeod. Cree en ti mismo, sueña en grande y confía en el universo, de Marta Leticia y Silvia Romero.